I'd like to talk with Barbara Wilcox and let her share her background and a little bit about her NDE. Barbara?
Hi, I'm Barbara. From my background, I would say I had a very abusive background, physically and sexually, when I was very young. This is the first time I'm speaking, so I'm nervous, so bear with me. My first NDE, I was age 12. It took place, it was a near drowning. It took place in backyard in our pond. The middle of the pond was about 7 feet deep. And it was the first time I was allowed to swim alone, so I was really excited. And I swam out to the middle, and I got a cramp in my side, and I started going under the water, and I went all the way down, and I touched the bottom of the mud, and I could feel my toes, the mud going in between my toes. And I held my breath as long as I could, and it just got to the point I couldn't hold my breath any longer. And everything just, was black under the water. I couldn't see anything. So I decided to take in a breath of water, and I thought I was going to choke and gag, but I didn't have any of that sensation. It was just, kind of pleasant. So I took in a big gulp of water and just kept breathing in the water. And I was calm, and I saw like white light coming out of my body going up through the water. And I noticed myself looking down at my body, and there was no attachment to the body. It was like looking at a mannequin type of person there, totally separation from it. And I heard a woman voice speaking to me, and she said, "You have to go back. You're not ready to stay here." And with that, then I heard my mother yelling, because my mother was there, but she didn't swim. And she was at the edge of the water, and I could hear her voice. She was yelling my name. And so with that, it was like my body was a bullet. It just shot straight up out of the water. And I came above, and I was coughing and spitting up water. And I swam to the side, and I walked home. My mother yelled at me all the way to the house, "You stayed under the water too long. What's the matter with you?" And that was the end of that. But the message I had gotten was never to get married, stay single, walk the earth, learn all types of religion. I was raised Catholic, so this was really against that belief, but to learn all types of religion. When I turned 21, I decided I was going to get married. And it was shortly after I was 21, I had my second near-death experience. I had been sick in bed for about a week. I don't know what the illness was. I never went to the doctor, but I felt very nauseous, and I jumped out of bed to run to the bathroom, and I was dizzy, and I passed out. As far as I knew, that's what it was. And then I was up above on the ceiling looking down at my body again, and my husband was kneeled down to my side, and he was calling my name. And I kept saying, "Oh, I'm up here, look up the ceiling," and he's still kneeling there saying, "Barb, Barb." And I'm like, "Jer, I'm up here, look up here, I'm up here," And I was getting really aggravated because he just wouldn't look up there. And I'm like, "Can't you hear me? What's the matter? I'm yelling to you. Why are you still looking down there? I'm up here." So finally, I was frustrated, and I was looking around the bedroom, and I noticed to my right there was a round swirling motion. So I floated over to it, and I went up into it. And on the other side, I came into a small waiting room, and it was black. And it would only fit like one person, but I didn't have a body, and I didn't have a spirit or soul. It was just me. It was just there. It's like being total intelligence. You're nothing, but you have all your senses. And so I could see no doorway. It's just like blackness. You're just tight in there. And after a few minutes, there was this pulling sensation, and it pulled me out. And I'm like, where did this doorway come from? It wasn't here a second ago. But I came out into this tunnel, and it was like a lighter shade of gray. So I could see through it, and there was a veil on each side of me, and it was like shimmering, and it was a semi-foreign material, very different, kind of like a curtain, but you know, I couldn't really see through it. And I was pulled down a certain amount of space, and then I was stopped, and I looked behind me, and to my left, there was, in the waiting room, it was a young boy, and I could see the shadow, not features or anything, and to my right, there was an older gentleman in his waiting room, so I was ahead of them, you know, in my line. And then I saw coming towards me, they looked like black dots until they got closer. They were far away in this tunnel. And when they got closer, the shadows got bigger, and then I saw, when they got near me, they were people. And they were in old-fashioned clothing. The women had big hats, and the men had suits and everything. And they started saying, I'm so-and-so from your mother's side, and I'm so-and-so from your father's side. And I'm like, I don't know you, you know, I don't know who you are. And then they all talked, and they said, no, we were before your time. And so they talked some more, and then one woman said to me, you know, myself and this other woman, we're going to walk you, you know, part of the way, so you won't be afraid. And that was great with me, because I was afraid. So with that, the rest of the relatives all talked amongst themselves, and then they just went towards my right, and they just disappeared into the air. They were gone. So I walked with the two women. I was in the center. They were on each side of me. And we walked down, and they talked with each other, and I'm still looking at the veil. And I had looked behind. The boy was out with his relatives talking to his, you know, relatives. And we're just walking there, and I'm looking at this veil, and I said, you know, there's something on earth this veil can be used for. It was just, I mean, I was just mesmerized with it, the way it moved and everything. So my attention was on that, and then we got to a certain point, and the women said, one of the women said, you know, we can't go any further with you. And I said, oh boy, you know, now I was getting scared again. And then they just disappeared into space. And I didn't know what to do. You know, I didn't want to move. I just stood there, and I was looking all around. And then I noticed this tiny pinhead of a light that was going straight ahead. And all my instincts said, go towards the light, walk towards that light. So I did. I started going, and I got to where it was about 4 inches around. And I heard a voice, a male voice, that said, enter no further. So I stopped, and the voice really startled me. And when I looked towards my left, there was a figure which I call Christ or God. And he was in a white color, and you know, you could see his outline with the head and the shoulders. And he was standing there. God bless you. And he said, oh, and I looked down, you know, at the bottom of the passageway, and there was a distinct line drawn across it. And I realized, starting after that line, the tunnelway was a lighter shade of gray. You know, it wasn't as dark as what I just came through. So then God said, you know, he had, before I could enter in there, he had some questions to ask me. So the first question he asked was, have I helped others? And I answered him excitedly, you know, how I had helped other people. And he said, that's good. The second question he asked was, what did I learn in this lifetime? And I answered him that, and he said, that's good, but I had more to learn. The third question he asked was, in what way did I give of myself? And I started to answer this, but I got really confused as to what he meant. So then he started to show me and tell me at the same time. He showed me like a picture, and he would speak. You would see everything all at once. And this is what we call your life review. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but it's your life review. And what part of it was when I was in grammar school, I had called a boy a name, a bad name, and it had hurt him so badly, and you relive all the emotions of that person, of how much you hurt him, and I had hurt him very badly, which I never realized, and you feel all the pain you put that person through. So when you go through your life review, you live everything. I mean, it's really fast. There's like no time over there. And you feel all the good, all the bad that you've done to someone, you know, and you never realize you've done this to the person. But, you know, when you're over there, you learn it. So after that, he said, you know, you have to go back. You have to go back to Earth and learn more. My work wasn't done.